Hey, this is Jesse with Kewlwood Company, and we are doing another project at the house. We're gonna freshen up the front with some modern numbers. But when I got the package, I thought it was gonna be difficult to put my numbers up, and I wanted to make sure that it looked nice, so decided I was gonna build a jig. And I actually didn't end up using that piece, but measuring for the width of my post, and you could do that width of your post, or if you wanted to do it horizontally, it would be the same process there. But the width is important, so that you make sure you have it centered on whatever item it is that you want to put it on. So it could be horizontally, vertically. I'm going to go vertical on my post there. So I got these numbers off Amazon. They're linked below. They're the 5-inch numbers. So I knew that they were 5 inches tall, but I wanted to measure how wide they were, and they were 3 inches at their widest point. This is me doing my calculations. I was always to write it down, and I find my center by subtracting the width of my item or my numbers and finding the center. You would do it vertically. It'd be easier if your numbers were going in horizontally, I guess. But there I find the width, and I'm gonna cut a piece for how long I needed my space to be, or how tall it is for me, how wide it would be for. Mine was, my space was 41 at its maximum, so I had 5 numbers, so I figured 5 numbers, and they were each 5 inches tall, so I knew 25, and then I needed to add my 1.5 inch gap between each number. So 5 to 25 plus my 1.5 inch gap. I think it ended up being 31 inches, something like that. And here I start lining out. I've found my center line, and I come down from the end of it here a little bit, draw a little bit of a line here with my son here, and he's helping me work through the math. It's get hot down here in Alabama, so the more minds, the better. Then I'm struggling here to find something long enough to connect my 2 center dots to get a line down the middle. I teach him a little trick there is put your pencil on your space, or on your point you want to draw from. Keep it there, go to your other one, and then pop your line. So now that I've got my center line in, we can start arranging our numbers. And it really doesn't matter here where you start putting your first one. I did my cross section between where I just decided I wanted to come down from, so that my screw or that little bolt wouldn't be at the very edge of the board. So as I've started to tamp down here on the little pointy end of those rods, so that I know where I can drill my hole in later on. And there I was just making a little spacer. I knew I wanted it to be about 1.5 inches, and so between my letters, because that's what I did on my math, and so I made a little 1.5 inch block, so I could put them in between, I could hold them, and then my shop buddy could do a little hitting. And we learned how to hit stuff with a mallet. which is always good. So then we keep lining our numbers up here, tamp down, and you want to leave your previous number in. You can take the ones past that, leave your previous one in so that you have something to reference on for your next number. A little bit closer view of our process. And if some of these have 3, there usually is a central one though. And you take your central one, put it right on your line, and then split your difference between the two. It'll be a lot closer than just trying to eyeball it or mess your screws up when you get up to your piece. So now that we've done all this in the shop and we've lined up all of our numbers, tamped them in, we've made our little holes that are about the size. Finding a screw or a drill bit that is about the same diameter of that post that you put that you drive into the wall. And here I had another piece of little scrap wood, and I'm kind of testing different drill bit lengths or widths until I find one that I like the snugginess, because I can always fill it in, but I don't want it to be too small because it may bend or mess up the numbers as I'm trying to drive it in there. But I decided not to go with that one because it's too small, which is the right size. I'm seeing how far it might go in if I tamp it in, and it's just too small on the diameter. In the end there, I decided to go, and my shop buddy brought some water. And then I decided, hey, what if I tried to drill in a hole with the actual, because it looks like a screw, but it's really not. And that didn't end up working. And this hole was also a little too small, and I didn't like that it wouldn't go in fairly easy. Now that I've got the right drill bit, I decide I need my scrap in the back. And now all of those depressions that I used those screws in, or the posts, I went ahead and drilled into those depressions, and this is where I will put it up onto the post and drill through these, and I'll have the perfect spots for my numbers. So we get packed up and take all of our gear to the front. I use a couple of little F clamps, use whatever kind of clamps that'll fit, and decide where I want to put it. I did at some point get the boss lady out there to make sure that I was on the right pole and where she wanted it. I don't know if I did that on camera or not. We might see. But I make sure my edges are flush, lined up, and I'm not over one of my holes. And we're going to clamp it down a little bit. Now I'm good to go. So it's all downhill from here. Make my holes here for the posts on the numbers. And drill through these really quick. If you found any of this useful, if you could just subscribe for me and hit that like button, I would appreciate it. And at this point, it is pretty clear to go ahead and start putting in your numbers. And there are little barrels that you put on top of your posts. You put them in, drive them in. If it's a little too snug, you can always put a piece of wood over your number and use your hammer to put it in. And I think my child lost my numbers, so I had to go find the other ones. I think they were in his pocket. But so I put my ones up and we were all good to go. And there we go. We have another project complete.